Hey sweet friends, this is Gina. Welcome to the Rebookery channel. So today I'm going to do something a little different. A lot of times I will sit down to journal. I have no idea where it's going or what I'm going to end up with. It just kind of happens. It's just mindless journaling and very intuitive. But today is going to be different because I know what I want to journal about. And I don't know what it's going to look like, but I have specific things that I want to incorporate in this spread. So I'm going to try to film and talk at the same time. I'm not very good at that, so we'll see how it goes. I may end up and just have to like pause my talking and just go ahead with the journaling and do a voiceover. So we'll see how this happens. But I'm going to journal today in my This Is Me journal. So if you remember, I made this a couple of summers back. This is out of my old baby clothes. And this is just a journal of pretty much it's like a scrapbook. Let me make sure I'm in focus here. It's like a scrapbook, and it's just things from my childhood, a time where I was really innocent and young, probably up till about, I'm going to say 1971 to about 1980s-ish, early 80s. And then things kind of got icky for me. So I want to just focus on like the good parts that I remember. And so that's what I made this journal for, is just because I remember things about my brother and things about me and, you know, just growing up in the 70s, and I just wanted to document them. And so this is just a journal where I've been doing this. I don't use this journal a lot. I have good intentions, but you know, just kind of life gets away from me and I just don't have a lot of time. But there is something I want to document. So I have been going just every page, kind of in chronological order, kind of, maybe, sort of. But I'm going to go to a specific page today because I'm going to journal about a farm. And I know that I have some farm pages or some farm fabric in this journal. And so I want to find the page that I'm looking for, because when I put this together, when I put this journal together, I had envisioned things that I was going to put in here. So like this page, I want this to have something to do with my paternal grandparents because they had a farm, and I just knew that there were certain pages I wanted to use for certain memories. But this was a memory that I hadn't thought of. And this, the other day I was driving around, there it is. The other day I was driving around and out in the country, because that's kind of where I live, and I was having just some random memories of my childhood, and it was a beautiful day, like unseasonably cool, and I was just finding myself thinking about when I was a little kid. We would go visit my uncle's mom. So this was not my grandma. This was my cousin's grandma. And she had a true farm. Like, this was a true working farm. It had everything. The chickens, the cows, the turkeys. I think she had some horses, a hay barn, a cow barn. I mean, this was legit. And I just know that there were very few things in my childhood that sparked such absolute joy as to hear my mom say, "Do you want to go to Grandma Claire's?" And I would just like freak out. Like, it was better than Christmas. Going to Grandma Claire's was better than Christmas. And she was not my grandma, but I pretended like she was my grandma because I loved going there. And some of my favorite memories are of going to Grandma Claire's. Okay, so I picked out some things that I want to document. I do not have a picture of Grandma Claire. and I don't have any, like I don't have any photos of me there. So some things that I picked to kind of fill in, my mom gave me all of my old baby cards whenever I was born. These were just cards that she had kept, and I use them a lot in this journal, but I just happened to find one that was from her. So I'm gonna use that. That's unexpected. I was not expecting to find a card that was from her, so I'm going to use that. I also have a photo of my uncle. So here's a photo of my dad, who my youngest son, I cannot quit looking at pictures of my dad when he was in his 20s, because it is my son. It is my youngest son. Like, I can't even explain to you. I just can't get over it. Every time I see pictures of my dad in his 20s, I just see my youngest son. And so there's a picture of my dad, which I had planned on using in something about my dad, but my uncle is in here, and this is his mom's farm. This is where he grew up. So this picture I can use. Let's see, she had, just like the memories I have of Grandma Claire's house was, she just had an old farmhouse. No air conditioning, 2-story, a root cellar in the backyard that was disconnected from the house. She had the most amazing old wallpaper. Like, I can just picture it. So I have some wrapping paper that I thought would represent that. And then, so I have a lot of farm scrapbooking papers, and this one is about farm fresh eggs. So the thing about going to Grandma Claire's, the best thing was that Grandma Claire just let us run the property, because she was the kindest, sweetest grandma ever, and oh, was she a hard worker. Now, her husband, I don't ever remember. I think he might have passed before I was even born, maybe. So all I ever remember is Grandma Claire, and Grandma Claire ran the farm. Like, she did it all. Milked the cows, collected the eggs, baled the hay. Now, she had grandkids and stuff that would come and help her that also lived on farms near her, but her son, my uncle, moved to the city. So I'm going to put air quotes around that, because our town really wasn't a city, but he moved to the city. So he wasn't there to help her a lot, but every once in a while he'd say, let's go to Grandma Claire's, and he would take his kids, which he had 4, and then my brother and I. So the 6 of us would go with my uncle to Grandma Claire's house, and there's no words. I can't even explain to you how much excitement I would get. I would just get this little tickle in my stomach, and I just could not wait until we would get there, and we would get out of the car, and we would just take off, and we would just run the whole property. And it was just one of those moments that, God, I just wish I could go. I wish I could go back to. A similar feeling was whenever my mom would say, let's go to the swimming pool. Like, I would get butterflies in my stomach because I was so excited. But this was way better than going to the swimming pool. Okay. Sorry about that. So one of the best things to do at Grandma Claire's house was she'd let us go to the chicken coop, and it was not just a small chicken coop. We're talking full on. Like, these chickens had an entire yard, and it was huge. And so we would go to the chicken yard, and we would get to go in the chicken coop and find eggs. And oh my God, to this day, like, I have a little garden in my backyard, and to this day, when I go out in my garden and like I'm picking strawberries and stuff, I get that same feeling that I got when I was at Grandma Claire's and we would find eggs, because there was something so amazing about looking in the little chicken cubby and finding an egg. And I mean, we would just freak out because we were so excited to find eggs, and it was just, yeah, it was just so cool. So definitely the chicken eggs. I want to do something with those. I have these papers right here, but I don't have a lot of real estate on this, and I want to contain it to this one page. So I don't know. I do like these. I don't know if I'm going to use them, but I'm going to pull these. And then I don't know what else is in here. Let's see. This is all the, I'm kind of a, ooh, stickers. I always like stickers. I'm kind of a farm scrapbook paper collector because I just love, I love farms. Now my grandparents, both my maternal and paternal grandparents, so they had farms. So my maternal grandparents, they had a farm, but they sold it right after I was born, so they could move in town. They actually ran a donut shop, so they owned a donut shop. And so I wouldn't really say they were farm people, because like I said, it was right after I was born that they moved in town. Now my other grandparents, they were kind of farm people because they did live out in the country, and they had a pasture, and my grandpa had cows, and he would name the cows after all of us, the grandkids. My grandma had a huge garden, like unbelievable garden, both flowers and vegetables. And I think they even had a horse at one time. And then when they retired, they actually moved to a different farm, and they got, like, my grandma had guinea fowl, and she had all kinds of chicks and, or chickens and hens, and all kinds of birds. It was really cool. God, I wish I could go back there. I wish I could go and spend the day at my grandma's farm. And at that time, when they moved out there, I had my babies, and we lived in town, and it was just, you know, I just didn't go out as much as I wished I had. You know, now looking back, I'm like, God, why didn't I go out there more? And you know, woulda, shoulda, coulda. That's one of my things I think about all the time is, God, if I could just go out and spend the day at Grandma Neva and Grandpa Harold's farm, I would just, like, that would just be the best thing ever. So I'm cutting out this little piece here because one of the things that Grandma Claire would make was homemade sauerkraut, and she would can it, and we would just go get a can of the sauerkraut, or a jar of the sauerkraut, and we would just eat it straight out of the jar. So I wanted to document that. Like I said, she had a root cellar in the back, and if we were really brave, we'd go down in there because, of course, there was no electricity in there, and it was just really, really dark, and it was in the ground, and it was kind of cool. But I thought this, somehow maybe incorporate this or something from here to document that. I don't know. There's lots of cool things in here. Now, my other grandma, I know I keep switching gears here on my grandmas. My other grandma, she canned. Now, these are the ones that, these were my maternal grandparents. They, like I said, moved from the country to the city. They ran a donut shop, but my grandma was a farm girl growing up. So she planted gardens, and they canned things, and she made jellies and preserves and pickles, and oh, she was the best cook in the whole wide world. So yeah, there's just, like, I have strong ties to canning. I wish I had the time to can. Well, I just don't have the time to can, but man, I can remember going to my grandma's house on canning day. Oh my gosh, like, the kitchen was just crazy. So much stuff going on. Okay, so I'm going to use those. Sorry, I'm rambling here. These are some label stickers. I kind of liked these stickers because, I don't know, this was kind of that time period, 70s, you know. I have these stickers that have chickens on them. I know Grandma Claire had a turkey or two because I can remember my cousins and I, there was a wagon in the chicken yard, and we would take turns pulling each other around in the wagon. And I remember we would always run from the turkey. Like, because these chickens they just roamed in the yard. They just stayed in this huge fenced in like lot, and we would just pull each other around in the wagon, and oh, it was so fun. And we would always run from the turkey because, I don't know, I guess we thought the turkey was evil. All right, so this is kind of the stuff I have that I want to use. Thought maybe those, but now that I'm looking at the pink, I don't think I want that. And so now I just need to start figuring out how I want to document this. And so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of create, because I have nothing in my head right now other than I just want, these are the things I want to use. And I think I'm just going to play and we'll see what happens.